We are live.
All right, ready to rock.
Ready to go.
Episode 14 of Mapping It Out. This is kind of a special episode today because we decided at the end of last episode that we were going to have no topic for this episode. We were just going to sit down with a blank piece of paper and talk about entrepreneurship, because I mean, really, that's all I ever talk about anyway. I have no hobbies or interests or life outside of this anyway,
I know what you mean.
Like, this is it, yeah.
That's like one of the things. Even after the show, guys, me and Ryan just talk business. Like we always just talk. We're like, how's your weekend for like 2 seconds? And be like, how's business going?
Dude,
you know, just
like,
something that's relatable.
Like all my friends have, my friend group has over the years turned into like almost only entrepreneurs because I'm so one-dimensional and kind of a loser. Where like that's all I talk about. So like when I talk with my friends, it's always like, oh, business, which is totally boring to everyone else, but to us, it's like, oh man,
it's the relatability.
Yeah,
like people just don't. The average person, like when they're not having a business, it's just one of those things where it's like you just talk about business.
Dude, I talked to, or Disney talks to me rather, about horse stuff. And I'm just like, oh my God, I've got like 20 more seconds before. It's like when you're working out and you're holding on, you're like, oh, I got 3 more reps. The pain is ascending. You know, I'm like, I got 20 more seconds so I can deal with this horse talk. And then I got to be like, babe, I love you. I'm glad that you're excited about this horse stuff, but I am maxed the fuck out on horse stuff that I can fucking talk about.
At the moment.
Yeah. But I'm sure she feels the same way about, you know,
cars
or some of the entrepreneurship stuff. She's like, dude, give it a fucking rest. I'm tired of it. I'm like, yes, you don't want me talking about my fucking, you know, stroked out 383 either, right? You don't want to hear about the bore and the stroke on that.
Yeah.
The supercharger, the electrical issues, you don't want to hear about that. I don't want to hear about the fucking saddle.
It's one of those things where it's like, it's hard to, when you don't have knowledge of something, if someone's talking about, it's really hard to like stay engaged. You know what I mean? In a way to me, where it's like, I try to, but I'm like, sometimes it just goes over my head. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. Oh
man, I know. But I think I'm sorry. I made coffee this morning because I was running a little late. So I went into Disney's office and made this, I stole some of her cappuccino, but then I also was like, oh man, I still need to get protein from working out this morning. So I'm making my protein coffee this morning.
It's funny. My girlfriend actually told me to do that. I get like cold brew now and I mix it with my like chocolate protein.
Dude, it's delish.
I was like, wow, this is really good. Put it in the blender, put a couple ice cubes in it. I'm like, this is really fire.
Normally I'll have a protein shake sometimes, like on Friday, if I work out Friday afternoon, like I have a protein shake, which is, normal shake, except I'll put vodka in it. So, little jump start for the weekend.
I need to do that.
Yeah. Well, first form works the best. Little plug. Jason Kane turned me on to that.
First form.
Yep.
First form. So yeah, man, let's go. I kind of want to just talk to you about like your mornings, your rituals for your morning. So like, how is that? You wake up at 4 a.m.
Yeah, and I take a picture of my watch and I scream into the camera dramatically.
If you're not doing you're not doing it right.
Well, dude, I think that is a really good topic maybe to get into because like Jocko's a friend of mine. Like Jocko's awesome. I fucking love that Jocko exists. Jocko is the most unfuckwithable team guy of all time. He is exactly how every team guy, like in my mind, he's the icon of like what it means to be a great team guy. But I have also the self-awareness. No, I am not him. I'm not Jocko. I'm not fucking waking up at 4:30 in the morning. I'm not doing all the shit that he's doing. Like, that's awesome. That's him. And there are some pieces of that are inspiring and motivating to me. Like, oh, fuck. Jocko's already been up for 2 hours. Like, I can get up and go to the gym, you know?
Yeah.
So it is useful, but also I find that the most useful thing is to find something that works and fits for you and is sustainable long-term, because you can't be supermoto all the time. You can't go balls to the wall all the time. Like we talked about last episode, like you got to find a pace that works for you. And, you know, I'm not Jocko.
Yeah.
He's awesome, but like, I know that's not me.
So like to me, going into that wake up time, right? Mm-hmm. Having that strict wake up time, I always hear like the 5 a.m. club, you know? So I'm like, I'm not consistently doing 5 a.m. because sometimes it is hard as a creative. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I am like the business boss during the day, making sure all the employees, like everything's on par of what we're supposed to be getting done, right, for the day. But then when I have a creative project I need to work on, it's hard for me to be creative during the day.
Yeah.
I don't know why. It's just nighttime is like when I'm like...
Most creatives have like a 2 to 4 hour window during the day where like their maximum creativity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's just like sometimes I stay up to like 1:30 and I'm like, because I'm in it, flow state, but it just flashes by. Then I'm like, oh, I'm not gonna wake up at 5:30 tomorrow because then I'm gonna be like completely exhausted, just carrying on like what my responsibilities for the next day. So that's why I'm kind of like finding that balance of like, I want to wake up at that 5 a.m. and having that discipline going for it. But sometimes I'm just like, dude, like I might sleep until another extra hour and a half and then still go to the gym after, and make sure my schedule's that way. But it's like,
well, your responsibilities to your business are different.
Yeah.
Like your role in your business is different. Jocko's built his entire business and life around that, So for him, that's awesome. But also that's not going to work for you, because if you find that your creative window is, later at night or super not early morning, like 1, 2 a.m., because I used to do that too. When I was an operator and I was doing the stuff, that was when I would work. I found I was most creative and most in flow at 9 to 1 a.m., 9 p.m. to 1 a.m., something like that. But as my position in the company and my role in the company has shifted, I find that I'm no longer doing like the operational stuff anymore, but I am getting more into the creative part of it. But for me, it's a different type of creativity. So I'm no longer like doing the designs and, pulling things in clip art and putting things together. Now it's more like bigger picture designing. Like, how can I design this structure? Like, how can I pull all the pieces, the moving parts of the business together and combine them to flow as a machine, right? So it's still creative, but that's not something that I usually can think of at like midnight. And it's something that, like, for me, after a workout, when I'm like in the shower, like 8 a.m., done with the workout, I have about a half hour where I can think, getting done with the shower, and lay in bed with the fan, cool off. And that's kind of where I can put the pieces together. And I find that also helps me lay out what I want to do for the day. But for me, like the system that I have or that I'm using right now is it starts the night before, because I can't I can't comfortably go to bed without knowing what's going on the next day. Because I'm always gonna be worried about like, what do I got to prep? What time do I need to get up? So I'll look at the schedule before I go to sleep. Well, even before that, my mind is always going. So I find it's hard to shut down sometimes. So what I'll do is I'll just read I try to get through 10 pages, read for, 10, 20 minutes, something like that. If I don't feel like doing that or I can't do that, I'll look at classic cars on Craigslist. But I find that like it helps me switch off.
Yeah.
But 10 to 15 minutes of doing something different. And then I got to immediately go to bed after that. Otherwise, if I get up to go take a pee, I'm thinking about business again.
Yeah.
So I have to like immediately put the book down, put my phone down, and then go right to bed. And that works as long as I'm looked at my schedule the next day too. So that I wake up in the morning and I already know what I need to do. I need to know what time I wake up. I need to know who I'm meeting that day. That determines like what I'm dressing, what I'm doing. That determines whether I work out in the morning or afternoon. But ideally, work out from like 7 to 8, hop in the shower, and then I'll be able to kind of collate some of these ideas that have been knocking around in my head at night, and in the morning, and I'll sit down, just lay on the bed for a half hour and try to kind of put the pieces together. And then when I do come into the office, like 10, I'm able to start like executing on those things. So for me, that's kind of what my personal system looks like right now. But that's because I've tried a whole bunch of other shit.
Yeah.
And like for me, like that's just where it is right now.
Yeah.
But it'll probably change as I, progress.
Yeah, 100%. Like to me, I do the same thing. I have to know what I'm doing the night before. And that's why I have a huge, it's like the 10 by 10 whiteboard, like as my wallpaper pretty much.
Oh, awesome. Yeah.
And it's just everything that I have in like time frames. And like, I want to get this all done before noon. So I can go into that next day of trying to get ahead of the week, right? So I'm always constantly, okay, this is the time, the place, how long it's going to do. If it's taking me too long, how do I make it like fit in the schedule? If things pop up, like some people just like, hey, this popped up. Can you do it for me? I'm like, yeah, let me try to fit it around, I'm like, sometimes like, no, I can't. You got to let me know ahead of time. But same way, I have to know what I'm doing the night before, because if I wake up and I go to the gym and I'm still like not in that mindset, because to me, I'm not a podcast guy when I go to the gym. I listen to music. Some people are like, oh, listen to podcasts, you get more info. I'm like, I just can't comprehend what's happening.
I tried working out on podcasts. My workouts are crap.
Yeah.
But I'll do like the boring ass cardio and the treadmill.
Yeah,
that's when I'm listening to podcasts.
Because like my comprehension is not the greatest when it's like I'm focusing on working out. So if someone's talking to me, I'm not focusing on what they're saying. So it's like it's kind of wasting my time because I want to listen to what they're saying, but just not the time and place. But yeah. And then, like I said, if I don't have that plan, I get home, take a shower, have a protein shake, have breakfast, and I'm like, now what? Damn. Now I'm kind of like picking up where I should have left off, and I just feel rushed. It's not like a harmonial like morning for me, you know?
Yeah, dude, my life, unfortunately, as lame as it sounds, I never thought it would revolve as much as it does around a schedule. But dude, if there's shit in my life, if it's not on the fucking schedule, it's not happening. And even with my friends, dude, like, ran into Chad Lemons from the Drive Clothing the other day, just walking down the boardwalk. And, we've been friends for years. And she's like, hey, bro, this time we're talking about like meeting up and going for a workout together. And as soon as we said it, I had to pull my phone out and I have to write it down and put it in the schedule that second. Like if I wait literally 10 seconds, I will forget. And then if I forget, now it's off. Now I'm unreliable. Now he's showing up to the gym and I'm not, and I look like a flake. So I just know that about myself now. I that self-awareness, understanding, like I know that I will fucking forget 10 seconds later. So I have to be that awkward guy. I'm like, hold on, I gotta put it in the phone right now. But now that I'm comfortable with that, I know myself enough to where like that's just what I have to do. And it makes it so much easier, man. Like, maybe it comes off a little weird, like, whoa, you got to put in your schedule right now. Like, yeah, dude, I forget shit all the fucking time. Like,
I think it's more, to me, I'm like, oh, cool, he's putting me in your schedule. To me, I'm like, that's nice. Because I didn't do that before with the schedule. The first time but when I started really just consistently doing it was because of you. When you're like, are you filming today? And I was like, bro, no. And you're like, oh, like we talked about last week, we're filming Wednesday instead of Thursday. I was like, fuck. And like to me, like you said, being unreliable is like one of the worst feelings. Like, damn, like how many points did that throw me back? Or like, I know like things pop up, but it's just like to you're more hurt by like you being unreliable compared to like us. Dude, shit happens, I get it. But like once that happened with you, I was like, all right, I just got to write shit down.
Well, shit happens totally. But also like, I think it's just professional to make an effort to like, do what you say you're going to do.
Yeah.
Because everybody knows shit pops up. Like my weekly schedule, I will not schedule a meeting on Monday. And so on the schedule, Monday looks like super clean and clear. Like I got nothing to do because I schedule like that. Because I know every time we walk in on Monday, shit is going wrong. There's problems here. There's problems there. We're constantly putting out fires. So I know I can't schedule anything Monday because I know it's already going to be a full day of getting called into meetings and pulling stuff together and like solving problems. So for me, I already know that ahead of time. Like, no, I am doing no schedule, no meetings on Monday because it's already going to be a shit show.
Yeah. Is it because of the weekends?
Yeah. Yeah. Things, all the communication that piles up on the weekend. And I'll sometimes, try to take care of it, but there's just always things that pop up, especially for our business in manufacturing. There's always like, oh, well, it's 1,000 unit order, but we're supposed to have 200 larges in black, but they shipped us 150. Now we got to scramble and get these other 50 from, the East Coast, and we got to air freight them over here, and we got to do all this stuff because we've already slotted production schedule for them in the afternoon. And if they don't get here, now we got to reset up the whole thing to like do it. It's just like, there's a lot of moving parts. And when one little thing is out, it throws the whole machine off. So we have to really like, it's a lot of mechanics, but it's like logistics mechanics, which is stuff I love, but dude, it takes a lot of time to fucking put everything together.
So you're doing your normal work day, normal work week. What time do you usually like go home? And by the time you get home, because I know with you and Disney, it's like you guys you talk about business,
Yeah.
So it's just like, when is there a time if someone hits you up and be like 9 p.m. we're like, hey, like, can you do this? And it's like, no, not tonight. I'll carry it tomorrow. Like, how does that work? Sometimes I'm like,
it depends who it is and what it is. But I do think it's important that you train people how to treat you, like whether that's your boyfriend, girlfriend, your husband, wife, your clients, like your boss, like anybody. You have to train people how to treat you. And if you're always accommodating and you don't have any lines in the sand where you're willing to draw it and be like, hey, like I'm gonna get into this tomorrow, or like I'm not gonna respond at 11 o'clock at night, then that line is gonna constantly being pushed until you're just a pushover, right? So it's like you have to kind of figure out where you draw that line for yourself. And for me, our whole business exists to take care of our clients. So like I'll do, whatever we can to help them. But if it's something that's like not an actual emergency, or like I need help with this random bullshit at like 10 o'clock at night on a Tuesday, I'm like, nah, I'll answer that in the morning, dude. Like you can figure this out. And by the time, sometimes too, by ignoring it, they answer their own question. And like they'll text back like, I got 8 a.m. Oh, never mind, I handled it. I'm like, yeah, I know. That was a dumb question anyway. You'll be fine, dude.
I promise you'll be all right.
You will figure this out. Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. But this is for everyone that might be like, I don't know, in the creative space or any entrepreneur space, is like know your worth. Because I remember being in the beginning where I would do shit for free, right? I would do work for free to like build my portfolio, which is great to do.
You have to in the beginning.
Exactly. But don't forget where it's just like, once you have that, the skill set of what you're doing, remember your worth. Like I always had this. People would give me more feedback on free than they would do if they paid. Yeah. Which is such a weird thing where it's like, oh, it's free, so let me be super picky or anything like that. So like to me, that's what I mean. Like know your worth. And if you just can tell someone's like just driving you like in the wrong direction, get the project done, right? Make sure it's the best because your name's on it. But it's just a thing for you to understand, like know your worth, but you also don't have to work with that client ever again, in that aspect. It's just knowing your worth.
Well, when you're first starting out, dude, that's such a good point because it's so common. Like with any business, when you're first starting out, you have to take any sale you can get, right? And sometimes it's like 5 years down the road, this is not the person that it's not the job you would take. But when you don't have any other jobs lined up and you got to fill your schedule, anything as a job is what you have to do. Especially when you don't have a portfolio, you don't have any like track record. You have to build that. But also too, you gotta, you have to know your worth and you have to match like the quality and the concepts and like the preciseness of what you offer as a product and a service with the client that appreciates and wants that. Because a lot of clients don't care about, like we're very, like our clients and what we do, we're very precise. We're on time. We're like everything. When our clients order something, it's exactly the way they expect it to be all the time, which is rare in the print shop world. So that's why we have the clients that we do, is we have clients that do medium to high volume and they don't have time to fuck with it and figure out all the sizing and all the sizing ratios and wonder if it's going to be right or do approvals and all that stuff, because we do all that. So for them, they just give us the bare basics and they trust us to handle everything. And we're not the cheapest, but we do like a very like white glove service. And the clients that work best for that are the clients that are already at like a medium to high level. They're not trying to get like the cheapest stuff because they know you can get the cheap shit anywhere.
Oh yeah.
But it's going to fuck with your business because now it's unreliable. They're like, oh, it's done in 2 weeks, 3 weeks later, 4 weeks later. So that drop you plan, like, oh, we're going to do this on this date. Like, well, the print shop's fucking 2 weeks late on it. And like your customers don't care. You just look unreliable as a brand. Yeah. Even though it's a print shop's fault, but you can't, how do you articulate that to your customers? Right? Yeah. So a lot of our best clients, are clients that have already been around a while and experienced how fucked up the print shop world is. So then they come to us and they're like, oh my God, thank God you guys exist. You handle everything that I was having problems with. I never have to worry about any of these problems anymore. Oh, you're a little bit more expensive? You're 15, 20% more expensive? Hey. No fucking problem. Yeah. Because now they can grow their business and get bigger and focus on growing it rather than like, oh my God, I ordered 80 and 10 showed up. I'm like, what are we going to do? And normal print shop be like, well, sorry, we couldn't get them. Like we have to order, like we had a 1,000 unit order a couple months ago when the supply chain issues were like max fucked up. Like a 1,000 unit order. We had to order that, or 1,000 units. We had to order that from 10 different warehouses across the US to fill that order because no warehouse had the entire inventory. But that's what we do. And the brand, on the brand side of that, for them to spend the legwork and time to do all that stuff is huge. But we do it all the time. So it's like super fast and quick for us. But we had to, to tie it back to the point. we don't work well with clients that don't appreciate that.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you're so expensive. Like, well, hey, you're totally right.
Yeah.
Once you have enough fucking problems, like once you get enough experience and get fucked over enough, then you're really going to appreciate paying that extra 15, 20% so that we can handle all this stuff for you and you'll be a great client then. But it's not everybody's meant to be your client.
Yeah. Dude, you have just my brain racing because it's just like when I first started business, I was not making that much, right? I was doing things for free, but I was scared to raise my prices because I didn't feel good enough, right? So I kept comparing myself to other artists and kind of replicating what they're doing. And then I got to the point where it's like, oh no, I'll charge like $100, $250, then I'll do that. Like when I started working for you or doing photos for you, I think it was like $250 for the month, coming down like 4 days a week. Like that was when I first like started getting into that kind of stuff at the other warehouse.
Oh yeah.
And it was just like, you have to understand once you have that expertise in a way, start charging more. Because it sounds super stupid or it sounds like, of course, do that. But a lot of people get stuck. And that's why I'm stressing is because I was there. I was one of those people where it's like, dude, you just get stuck. And
totally.
Like, you're not good enough. Like there's other people doing better work. It's like, how are they getting $15,000 clients? I can't even imagine charge. It's like the reason you can't is because you haven't even took that step forward to do $250 or even $1,000, and then you just slowly just work your way up. And I promise it gets to the point where it's like you can charge 5, 10, 15 grand. And then now it's like, oh, okay. And you find the people, going back to like what you said, that are willing to pay it.
Yeah, they understand the
problems to go away. Because as a business owner, I didn't really understand that. I was like, oh, like I want to do as much as I can and keep as much profit as I can. But then I realized like, man, I'm really overwhelmed. I would rather pay someone to do it for me and really help out. I'll pay you extra if you're even more badass at it, you know? So it's like paying for the problems to go away, but also you're getting an incredible company brand that you're working with. So it's like, pay that difference.
Dude, yeah. I mean, this thing like for me to roll in at, 10:33, I'm like, fuck, I'm 3 minutes late. I gotta get my coffee, whatever. But I come in the warehouse here and you've got everything fucking set up. I mean, you got a paper and pen ready to go. I'm like, bro, talk about like fucking professional and dialed in. All you do is sit down and start talking. Like, dude, this is fantastic.
Yeah.
So, but because I know for me, I have so many other things I have to do. Like I can't be here for the setup and the sound check and the tear down and all that stuff. So, and you do a great job with it. So I'm like, dude, I'm happy to pay whatever it is to have that service because to me, that's worth it so that I can go do other shit.
Yeah, 100%. It's just because business is a lot. There's a lot that goes into it and it can be overwhelming. And you're talking about layers last week where there's like, people think the first layer is like entrepreneurship, sick. Like everything's like dope as an entrepreneur. There's a lot of cool parts, but there's 10, 15, 20 layers below that. It's like, fuck, dude. Like just to understand like it can get to that point, but you don't need to necessarily know and how to conquer that last layer, but just understand the aspect of like, okay, like this is what you're getting yourself into.
I think the most important thing is just understanding that it exists.
Yeah.
And that it's not going to be, all fun and games and roses. Like there's fucking thorns in there, dude. There's a lot of things that aren't fun, that suck, that are like sometimes really negatively impact the rest of your life. And you're like, fuck, dude, like you have to know going into entrepreneurship that that's part of the journey. That's part of the path. There is no escaping it. And, the bigger you get, it's the same fucking problems. It's just different. I mean, the same problems, they're slightly different and the solutions are usually the same. It's usually just a monetary difference. Like I was talking with a buddy of mine yesterday, we're having a call and his business is about twice as big as mine. He's doing like probably, I think 20 million this year, last year, something like that. And he was having the exact same problem that you and I were talking about a year and a half ago in my company, where like we were just fucking losing money and we didn't know it. And we're like, holy shit. And by the time we found out, we're like, oh my God, what the fuck are we going to do? Like it was the exact same problem. It was weird. And he came to the and we hadn't talked in like years, so I didn't know this ahead of time, but he came to the exact same conclusions I did and executed the exact same solutions. I was like, fuck, dude, it's twice as big a company, $20 million company, and it's the same fucking problem. It's just a slightly different timeline, and his solution is a higher dollar amount because it's twice as big a company, but it was the same shit. I'm like, wow, this really is like all the same.
It's crazy. That's why I love this podcast. Dude, there's something I always want to talk to you about. I think a good time right now. So I'm in the electronic space, creating content, right? Where it's like, it's done. I email, you're done.
Yeah.
I don't have tangible products or nothing like that. How was it during COVID for you? Like, because I know like packaging is like took a long fucking time. Like, was there problems that you dealt with during COVID, especially delivering problems?
Like supply chain, or like with our team and managing the
I
teams
get everything. Wait, I guess more like the delivering, because I know you have tangible products that you have to deliver to different companies all over the country.
Yeah,
it's like
thankfully, and this is one of the things I've talked with the team about, that I'm really glad we were at the size we were at, which we're relatively like. We do a lot of volume for the location that we're in. So we're probably one of the higher volume shops in Southern California. And like we're at the point now we're starting to order containers from the manufacturer, which is, I mean, there's only a handful of companies that order by the container. So we're starting to get up there. But because we do such high volume, we have relationships with a lot of these people. So whereas like the mom and pop shops might be stuck with like, oh my God, there's no inventory, I can't buy it. We can go direct, and they have ghost inventory where like it's not on the site yet, but because we have connections with the suppliers, we're like, oh yeah, this just came in, it hasn't been uploaded yet, but we can allocate 300 units to you. Just put in the PO. So we do have that, and also we're big enough that we've trained our staff and our whole team. The work ethic is like, we know going into it that like it's going to be fucking hard, and we're going to have to, like that 1,000-unit order we had to source from 10 different warehouses. That's a lot of fucking legwork. It's a lot of moving parts we had to put together, but we do it because that's what we're good at. That's the machine that we built is specifically designed to do that. So for us on the manufacturing side, COVID was great because it absolutely fucking destroyed like 99% of our competition.
That's crazy.
And now that things are coming back online, a lot of the brands that, left for pricing or, whatever their reasons were for leaving are now starting to hit us up like, hey man, my other print shop went out of business. I'm like, weird.
Wonder why
now,
we didn't.
Yeah, now we want to come back. But it's funny too, because now that they've, had a couple more years experience under their belt, now they're a great client for us because they appreciate all the extra services that we do. They're like, oh my God, I didn't realize this like 2 years ago, but like, thank God you handle all this shit, because I was gonna have to hire another person to handle all this. Now you guys do all of it. I'm like, yeah, I told you this 2 years ago. You just weren't ready to hear it yet.
A little blinded.
Yeah. But I'm guilty of that as well, where people had told me something like, fuck yeah, that's bullshit. And then 2 years later, I'm like, God damn it. They were totally right. They were totally right.
That's why I stress with people with content, because they're like, I don't need it. Like I do, but like, just give me time. Give me time. I'm like, dude, time's gonna go by and you're gonna wish that you had like 100 videos already had
dude,
up. Like,
yeah.
That's why I stress to people if they're like, I'm not ready. Like maybe next month. I'm like, that's 30 days. That's 30 videos that you could, okay, but we'll see. And then 6 months goes by and they're like, hey, like, are you still doing that video thing? And I'm like, yep.
Yeah, schedules price went up, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, because also your value went up because now you have 30 days more experience. You're able to deliver a higher quality product. I'm like, well, that's higher quality comes with higher pay.
So how do you handle that when someone says, I guess it's maybe more on the beginning side, because there's two questions to this. Do you have pricing packages that people, like anyone can kind of go for?
Yeah, we only do full package stuff.
Okay, so you just have one. If you want to do it, cool. If you can, that's it. So that's a huge thing for me. It's just like, because kind of splicing things up, but I realize I'm like, dude, it's too much managing of who's doing what. The speed that
we operate, we have to use just full package stuff because we can't nickel and dime, because we just do like really high volume. So it's like, okay, ready to go, pull the trigger. And then if something's fucked up or it's off for like a nickel or dime, whatever, we're like, yeah, either we'll eat it or they'll eat it, or, we do so much business with our clients that we just know that like, okay, well, you're going to make, if we're off by 2%, like none of our clients are going to bitch. It's like, oh, we're off by $40 on this $10,000 invoice. I'm like, they know it's not worth their time. And on the next one, it might be off $40 the next way, but the priority and the important part is that we're doing $10,000 orders together, doing $10,000 worth of work together. And those types of clients typically don't have time to worry about fucking $40. And they also have the business experience to understand that it can go either way. So if you try to track it and make it like 100% all the fucking time, you're going to have to slow down so much that you can't do the volume of business that you want to do. Sorry, I totally stole that. You had a second part of that.
No, that was good because it kind of goes back into like, you don't want those clients that stress that 40 too. Because like in the way, if like you said, like, dude, we're doing a $10,000 project. And if you're really tripping about 40, it's like.
You're not a good client, man. Like, sorry.
Do you see long term?
Right.
You know,
like,
that's
dude,
what.
I'll give you the 40, just not have to email you about it. Like, I don't fucking care. But also, if you email about $40, I'm like, aha. You're a motherfucker that's emailing about $40 and like $10,000 stuff. I'm like, now I have a little orange flag I'm waving. Like, next time this motherfucker wants something, I'm like, I don't know.
Exactly.
I don't know.
And that's a thing I was wanting to go into, where in the beginning of doing video work and stuff like that, people would say it was like music videos. I was charging probably like packages between like $1,000 or like $500 all the way to like $3,000, right? And then someone hit me up, be like, "Oh, I want a music video. Like, let's just start out with the $500." And I'm like, "Okay, cool." Then they would ghost me, and then like 3 months later, they would pop up, "Hey man, let's do that music video." I'm like, "Yeah, dude, that price?
Yeah,
it's at $1,500 to start." "Oh, what? That's bullshit." You know?
Should have pulled the trigger 3 months ago, bro.
I'm like, it ain't bullshit. Like, you just can't afford it. Like, nothing's wrong with it. Like, it's just. Things change. You got to hop on it. And that's, I think, part of me, I still wanted to take that money, even if it was like, oh, it's $500, take it. That's a discipline thing that you need to understand as an entrepreneur. Know your worth, and like, you don't have to go chase that. If you fucking need that 500, okay, then go do it.
Yeah, exactly.
But if you don't, and you're like, ooh, but it's still an extra 500, think about how long it's going to take you to do. Like a whole day of shooting, another 2-3 days of editing, a whole bunch of other stuff, prepping. There's so much time. What could you be doing to use that time to get another $5,000 a month residual client? You know,
Exactly.
So it's like, that's how you have to start thinking.
Yeah.
But some people trip about like, oh,
well, it's the opportunity cost, and that's why you have to take these jobs when you're smaller and you're starting out, is because the opportunity cost is so low because there's no other fucking opportunities.
Yeah.
But as you get bigger, you're like, well, I could take this $500 job with this client that's kind of a pain in the ass, or I could take this $1,500 job with this client that's super clean and easy to work with. Like, that's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Right. So, but it has to do with the opportunity cost. But yeah, the bigger you get and the better you get, and the more your schedule fills up, like the more expensive your time is, because more people want it. Like that's literally the equation of value. Like, what is the thing that you're offering worth?
Mm-hmm.
And scarcity is like, time is the one thing that's the most scarce in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Can't ever refill it. It's always ticking away. But people are like, oh, we'll do it. I'll do it next month. I'm like, okay. It doesn't happen. I'll do it 3 months. Doesn't happen. Like, that's one of the most valuable things I think you can train yourself as an entrepreneur, is to take advantage of the opportunities and fucking pull the trigger on them when they present themselves and figure it out later.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just nobody I know has everything figured out when they say yes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've very few things in my life I was 100%, oh, I totally got this when I said yes to it. But very few things I was not able to figure out either. And then I had to back out of a few things that were like, once I got into it, I'm like, whoa, it's not what I thought it was. It's really not the right position. I need to go do something else. But it's not as hard to do that as most people think.
Mm-hmm.
They just need to say yes and go do shit.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you get experience.
I think it also is the same with no. Saying no is hard. Like when that project pops up, because especially
I love
in the
saying no.
to me, like I'm used to saying no now, because it's just like I have that. But it took me a long time. I just want to say yes to everything. Yes, man. Because I wanted to build good relationships. I wanted my brand to be like, oh, like this guy's reliable, blah, blah, blah. But then I remember I wasn't making that much money. But someone hit me up and said, hey, can you like edit this photo for like $40? Do I need $40? And I text back, nah,
yeah,
can't do it. And they're like, oh, okay. How much? And I said, a photo to edit, $150. And they're like, okay, cool. I was like,
there you
whoa.
Go. Yeah.
I almost took that for way cheap, you know? But it really started off as those small steps.
Mhm.
Now it's like, oh, like, can you do something for $500?
Yeah. Well, in order to say yes to people, you have to say no to other people.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I love saying yes to our clients that we work very closely with, because we have a really great relationship with a lot of those guys, and we work really well together. Like this very synergistic type like business relationship. So for them, anytime they want anything, I'm like, dude, fuck yeah, I'm gonna do everything I can to find a way to do it. Because number one, I know that they don't ask me for random bullshit. Like what they're asking me for is legitimate things that can really move their business forward. So I'm like, dude, yeah, fuck yeah, I want to help you with this as much as I can. But in order to say yes to that, I need to say no to these other fuckers that are like, can you teach me how to start a business? Can you teach me how to fucking start an apparel line? Like, you heard of fucking YouTube? That's I have hundreds of hours on YouTube. Go fucking watch it. Like, listen to the podcast from the fucking beginning. Go do it. Like, once you do that, you will have 90% of everything I can fucking tell you.
Mm-hmm.
And then, okay, then you want to do a consulting call. Cool, no problem. But you're not going to like pick my brain over coffee. Like, motherfucker, I can afford my own coffee. Fuck you.
It's funny because, dude, it's like one of those things where I can teach you. Well, I can't personally because I haven't done it yet, but how to make $1 million. I can teach you it. Be like, give you the whole formula of like how I did it. Most people would be like, oh, fuck that. That's too much.
You still got to do the work.
But
Yeah.
that's it. Do you want $1 million?
Mhm.
It's right here. Same thing with you. It's like, can you teach me how to start a business? I did already.
Yeah,
it's
you didn't
free.
see it. It's right there.
free.
You
Your
just-
first step is to go on YouTube and just watch all of them.
You don't even want to do the work of watching it. Yeah.
Like you
Yeah.
want to feel that feeling of like getting into the office and like, oh, I'm next Ryan Williams. Oh, he's gonna write on a piece of paper. He's gonna write on the whiteboard of what we're.
Let me give you the golden sauce, dude, the
Yeah.
golden algorithm.
You're
no,
here
it doesn't
now.
exist. You have to do the work. Yeah.
Either if you go to an event and you speak and you show people, you're doing the same exact thing that you've done online. It's free. People just don't think it's like official or like anything like that. It's like, no, it's simple.
Also, too, man, like
Take that first step.
You're willing to help people that have proven that they've already been willing to do the work, right? So I have to say no to those people that are just time wasters, because there are those people that come through like, hey, like I've done all this so far, like, but here's the one thing I'm missing. And I just have this one question. Like, dude, awesome. Yeah, DM me that. If it's easy for me to answer and I can give you this information that really helps move you forward, and you've already done a lot of work up to get to this point, like that's the person I want to help. That's the person I want to say yes to.
Mm-hmm.
But in order to do that, I have to say no to the other fuckers that aren't a good fit, that aren't willing to do the work. So I think for me, the key component is, has this person already put in enough work, doing recognizable work, that I'm like, okay, my time, whether I charge for it or not, is going to further his business or further his goal or whatever it is.
And I think we talked about that like the first
it was
podcast,
like episode 2 or something. Like that,
But it was like a lot of clients putting their social media content out there. They're like, damn, like a lot of like people that watch it, they're like, this is really good. I want someone to do this for my business. I've been getting a lot of DMs and just emails and stuff, which is awesome. But then I get these other editors, which is great. And I love that. But I remember what you said, because I like to help people and just be like, yeah, I'll answer your questions.
Mm-hmm.
I would take a step back, go to their profile.
Yep.
If there's nothing about video editing or anything like that, and they come back to me and like throw questions, like, no, okay.
You're just a dreamer. With
exactly.
0% doer.
Exactly.
You have to be at least like a midway
show
percentage.
me something.
Right.
So, but then I do get people where I'm like, they remind me editing wise of, they're really good, but even like kids that are like were where I was like my first year editing, I'm like, yeah, here's a trick to do it and make it faster. So I help them that way because it's gonna skip ahead. But yeah, you gotta show that effort. Show that you're working on it. And I love that example. It's like, dude, I watched all your videos. I love all the podcasts, but I have this one thing that I'm really struggling.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Fuck yeah,
Awesome.
like
Let me
good
help,
for
dude.
yeah, exactly. Compared to like, what's your YouTube channel? Like, you're like, what are you talking about?
Well, also something that I didn't think about previously, but it's become more and more important to me, as I get older, is those people who are already willing to do the work and that I can help. Those people, like in the next like 5 years, they're going to build something significant.
Yes.
And I want to be there with them. I want to be Like, I don't want to have a fucking jet and fly around and be miserable by myself, or just me and Disney like high-fiving each other like, fuck yeah, jet. Like, I want to have other people go with me. And like, whether like, I don't want them to pay for it, but I want them to I want to enjoy my fucking experience going to Cabo or Arizona or wherever we go with quality people, right? So if I can like help these people who have already done the work, and I can help them achieve a level of success where they're happy and they're fulfilling their dreams, fuck yeah, let's go do rad shit together. So all these little conversations are key in the long term, but I think people just don't understand the value of fucking work.
Yeah.
Is what it comes down to.
I think that's like the payoff for me too, where it's like when I see my clients getting more clients from the social content that they're putting out, that makes me fucking happy. That's just like, when I first started working with people, they try to do it or they weren't consistent. Like a lot of people come to me and they thank me like, thank you for your consistency. Like your consistency is amazing. It makes me just not have to worry about what I'm talking about, or it has to be so like the production has to be perfect. Like you make it so simple and the quality of the product is amazing for me to post. And people DM me all the time like, this is amazing. Like I love the tips that you do, blah, blah, blah. So that's something for me. I'm like, just giving back and watching someone grow from where they were, from something that I brought them value to. That's why I do it, So it's really cool.
Totally, man. I think that's the mature way to do it. I didn't always think that. Maybe it's because I'm actually a little bit mature now. I'm fucking 44 and 15 years in business.
So what did you think before?
Oh, I don't know. I would probably a lot of ego. Like I'm right and everybody else is stupid, which is still true. I am right about a lot of things and most people are stupid. But at the same time, I also recognize that, man, there's so much I didn't know. And once I started to really learn from like really high level players in the game, I was like, oh shit, I'm not as cool as I thought I was. Like not even fucking close, which is actually kind of freeing because then now I'm like, dude, I can be a goofball or a dumbass and whatever. And I don't like, the standard I hold myself to is plenty fucking high. So I don't need to worry about like being perfect all the time or looking perfect or dressing perfect or acting perfect. I'm like, I know who I am and I know what I want to be and I know I'm on my way. So I don't have to be, it's an acceptance of the imperfections in myself, but it was nice, dude. Cause now with a lot of freedom to just like, hey, yeah, I was fucking wrong about that. Like, hey, sorry about that. You were right 2 years ago, 5 years ago. Sorry, I was a dick.
I think for me, like when I first, like the first couple months when I started making more money, I was like, oh, like, look at me. But it was very private. Like this, like, man, I'm really living it. But then I would always catch I don't know if it's just the way I grew up, but it was just like, that shit could be gone tomorrow. Yeah. Like so fast. And it's just like, enjoy. And this is where I talk to you about like, dude, enjoy it. You've been working your ass off. Like enjoy the small things. And like, if you want to spoil yourself, like go for it. Be able to afford it and not just be able to buy it. There's the difference, but like enjoy that shit that you work hard for. And it just, I guess now I just don't try to be cocky about anything. People, I think that people come up to me, more friends, family, like, you're fucking killing it. Like, you're doing so well. And I'm like, thank you. I appreciate it. But like, I'm not even fucking close, Yeah. It's just one of those things. I don't know.
Well, I think you learned those lessons way faster than I did. It took me a long time to be like, wow, I was wrong about that. Like the Lamborghini. I thought I was cool motherfucker with the Lamborghini for a while. And then I got to know other people like, their fucking breakfast costs what I paid for that Lamborghini. I'm like, wow. All right. They really don't give a shit about this. Like what I thought was like the pinnacle of cool. They're like, yeah, whatever. I wear that on my pinky ring. I'm like, oh, fuck. All right. There's levels to this, But I think that's also important, man. Like you should be proud of what you do and what you've built, but also you have to understand like there are some fucking massive sharks in the ocean. Yeah. And just because you got your first set of teeth doesn't mean you're the biggest fucking shark around, But also too, man, like a lot of those sharks are willing to help. And they're not trying to eat you. Like sharks rarely eat other fucking sharks, and they're usually willing to help you go hunt and go grow. But
because to me, like, yeah, there's competitive like niches and things like that. But I think the overall like entrepreneur wants other entrepreneurs to succeed.
Yeah.
In the way that, kind of like what you mentioned too, where you want to be there in the beginning for these companies so they could, when they become big, like I help them do that. And it's not just you boasting, like it could be also be like, I remember when they hit me up for their first like 10 orders or some shit like that. Now they're like, holy fuck, they're crazy. Same thing, like you want them to look it back at you and be like, you fucking helped me. I appreciate that help too. And it's just like being a part of that. It's really cool.
Dude, that's exactly what I love about what we do is like we have had clients like over the years that started with us and they're like, they're literally first couple dozen shirts, you know, and now like gone on like $20 million company, a different $20 million company I was talking about earlier, but yeah, like $20 million apparel line. Like, and to see that person grow, like not just the business grow, but that person grow.
Yeah.
And like their sense of self-worth, their confidence, like how they interacted with the world changed, like literally changed his fucking life, you know? And not that we had anything to do with that. Like we provided some of the infrastructure and some of the help, but we didn't do the work. You know what I mean? He did 100% of the work and he deserves to have what he's built. But it's just to be able to play a small part in that and to be a small, you know, piece of that bigger machine that you can see the tangible results, not just in the business, but like in the quality of this person's fucking life.
Yeah.
And watch them grab their dreams out of the fucking sky and pull it into reality. Dude, it's so cool to see.
That's where I'm like, I get glimpses of that, you know, because I don't feel like I've fucking changed lives, but it's just more of those small wins that I see. I'm like, damn, like good for you. Like I'm happy that like I'm working and helping you, but it's when they come to me and be like thank you, and I'm like, oh, like this is what I do. Like I get it, but then it's like they'll like send me a long voice message. It's just like, wow, it's really impactful.
Yeah, it's nice to be appreciated. Like our favorite clients are the ones that like have an appreciation, regardless of the size, just appreciate what we do and like that recognize what we do and appreciate it. That's the key thing. Cause it's not just me, like I'm going to keep going regardless, but our team, like our brand managers, the ones who are actually like, you know, holding their hand and working with them directly, having the brand owner say to them, hey, you did a fucking great job. I really appreciate your help with this. Like, it's awesome to have you on board.
Yeah.
Like, dude, that means a lot. It means a lot to them. And the fact that it means a lot to them means a lot to me.
Yeah. The value. That's what the things that keep me going. Like the money's cool sometimes, but it's just like, it helps. But it's like when you really change someone's life, that's when you're like, wow, okay, cool.
Yeah. Like money is like, you know, it's lubrication for a business, and it's the fuel and lubricate. It's what makes a business work, but it's not the purpose of the business.
Yeah.
Like the purpose of the business is I think most businesses should have a purpose that's to improve people's lives or health or mentality or like improve some human aspect. And if you can build a machine that does that with a good profit margin too, fuck man, everybody's winning.
I love this podcast because this is episode 14. Can't wait to be like, damn, dude, you're so young. Yeah. Like, look at you making that much money, but now you're like, dude.
It's so funny, man. I see these reminders pop up on Facebook now. Like, remember this was a video you did 9 years ago? I'm like, dang, I look like 15. I was, it was like 9 years ago, I was 35. Yeah, 9 years ago, I was 35, but still, I'm like, dang, this looks so fucking young. Now I'm like, Jesus, I'll probably look like myself in 10 years. I'm like, man, what the fuck was I thinking? That stupid facial hair, like that stupid hair. Like, I don't know. But that's the great thing is progress, man. Like, I hope that I look back on myself 5 years from now and think, fuck, man, I didn't know shit. Because that means I learned so much in the next 5 years. I look back at myself like 5 years previous. And I'm like, yeah, I was right about a lot of stuff, but fuck, I did not understand the context of how I was right and how I was wrong. And I think that's, for me, looking back now, that's the important part that has allowed us to responsibly scale, is that understanding of the parts that I was right about and, more importantly, the parts that I was wrong about.
I think you've helped me with that a lot too, is like confidence, because even though it's like where I'm at with my company, I'm confident, right? But I remember like hitting you up and just being like, I feel like a service, not a business. And you're like, dude, why is that? And I told you why. And you're like, that's exactly what I fucking do.
Yeah.
I'm a service too.
Yeah.
But you're a company, you're a business. Like, stop thinking, like stop overthinking your shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think it's like a double-edged sword to me where I'm like, okay, cool. Like, be confident, like, because that's what builds you, and like, but don't be too confident, because then like you're gonna be cocky and like you're gonna stop learning and driving.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also sometimes I'm like, I think I don't know that much, and then that's where my confidence is like, dude, you ain't jack shit, which is true in the big shark world. But it's like, nah, man, like you're hitting these landmarks of just like what you've been trying to achieve for last 8 years.
It's a delicate balance, man. Like, because in order to build big shit, you have to have an awareness of what it takes to get there, right? And everybody thinks when you build your first big thing, you're like your first big sandcastle, you're like, look at fucking sandcastle, the best sandcastle in the world. It's my shit. It's the best. I'm so awesome. And you see somebody else has built like an actual castle, you're like, fuck, okay. Now what do I need to learn from that? But also too, man, like you don't want to be the person that builds one sandcastle and it's like, cool, I'm the king of the beach. Like, okay, well, what the fuck you can do now?
Yeah.
Like, you're just gonna walk up, that's your biggest accomplishment for the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm.
Like what, you're 25 or 30 when you hit that? Like you should progress. You should see what else is out there. It's important that you see how fucking small you are sometimes with everything else, because that gives you it gives you the drive to want to pursue it, and also the path to actually go down, the path to pursue it. You can see it tangibly. Like, this is what this person's life looks like. This is what I want my life to look like. This is how I fucking do it.
I have a question for you before we wrap up. Are you like, I think you just answered too, but are you like the tangible person of you need to go see it, be around it in order to like, that's what I want? Because to me, I have to do that. I have to go to those open houses. I have to be inside those $1 million homes. I have to like go to like the dealerships, the Lambo dealerships, and walk around and act like, oh, like not to the people, but my head like, oh, this is like the one I'm gonna get. You know, like my mind is always around that, like seeing people and like visualizing. I'm a huge visualization person. I'm just like, that's what I want. So I have to go act like it's already mine in a way.
Yes.
You know?
So visualization is great. Ed Milet has a great saying for this called touching the dream. But I think it's both, man. I think you have to have this wide open view of like these huge, massive, like open sky goals for what you want to do. But also too, it's really difficult to visualize things at a super granular level if you don't go in and touch them. So called touching the dream, but like going into like a $6 million house or something like that, being able to like, what does that smell like? What does the floor feel like? Like, what does the air feel like going through it? Being able to articulate that in your mind, I think is very useful for bringing these like big picture things into like a tangible, granular thing that it makes it so much easier to bring them into your life, I think. So I think it's both. Yeah.
Cause like to be like, I'm a huge believer like in The Secret, you know what I mean? Where the universe isn't just going to hand you anything. Like if you like visualize and shit like that, like that's important. But I know some people like, I'm manifesting everything. I'm like, no, but what actions are you taking to do that?
Yeah.
You know? So like the universe is like,
I thought really hard about it. Like, okay, but what work did you do?
Exactly. What did you take forward? Like the universe is going to give you everything that you ever wanted. If you show it like you're taking the action steps to get what you want, you know? That's just,
well, I say that the universe helps those that help themselves. Which is funny enough, like exactly what we were talking about earlier in the episode.
I know. That's a trip, dude. And I think we should end it right there.
I think we got it. Well, this is episode 14. So thank you guys for sticking with us so far. I know it means more to me when somebody downloads and commits the time it takes to absorb a podcast than it does like a like or a subscriber or anything on Instagram, or like the likes and video views or whatever. But like, it's a bigger commitment to spend your time absorbing something from a podcast. So I think we got like 1,000 downloads now.
Yeah, 1,000.
And episode 14. I'm thank you guys for liking what we put out. I would say that we would love to have. So when we have all these topics, we're basically just guessing on what we think you guys want to hear.
Exactly.
But we'd love to hear exactly what you guys are dealing with. If you guys have topics or ideas or questions or problems that you're facing, shoot us a DM and let us know what those are. Because I know I get so much out of these conversations.
Yeah, same.
It'd be I mean, even if we might not be able to solve your problem,
Yeah.
but at least we can have a great time, talking about it and commiserate with you.
Yeah, because you just never know like what we have to offer, and just like might be happening to right now in business. So it'd be a perfect topic. You never
Dude,
know.
It's weird how many parallels there are all the time. But
Yeah.
until you talk about them, they're just operating in the background.
Yeah.
It's amazing what you can do when you like actually put things into the universe.
Exactly. So if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you subscribe, like, comment, and even share. Show some people what we're doing. Maybe it could help them out. Well, definitely could help them out. And if you're on any podcast platform, I don't know, maybe give us a 5-star, maybe a review if you want.
Hell yeah.
That'd be dope. All right, man.
All right, man. Shake and bake.
Shake and bake.
Cool.